Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation about a potential urban thinkscapes installation, which I'm referring to as experiments with light. Now, before we begin talking about the installation itself, we should first talk about the locations where I envision the installation being installed in. And for this, I've selected dentist's and doctor's office as a potential area for these installations. I've selected dentists and doctors' offices because everybody goes to them, everybody uses them, and everybody waits at them, which makes them a prime location to have a urban thinkscapes installation. They're also indoors, which means there's no wear and tear on the installation from weather, and also there's less possibility of vandalism. The staff at the dentist or doctor's office can help to maintain the installation. They can clean it, just go over it once with the wipe as they're cleaning the other furniture. And of course, dentists and doctors' offices are visited by everyone, but people don't visit that frequently. They go a couple times a year. And this means that the installation won't become sort of old hat too quickly. People will have time to use it, then refresh, and then before they use it again. Now, I also want to talk about what makes a good Urban Thinkscapes installation. What should a good installation be like? In my opinion, a good Thinkscape installation should be fun more than once. We expect people to be using the same activity more than one time, so we would like it to be a repeatable activity. It should be able to be played alone or with others. Some kids will be in a situation where they don't have anyone else to play with, and we would like them to be able to interact with the exhibit. And other kids will have friends to play with, or their parents will be available, and so we'd also like there to be some benefit for group play. The installation should be able to teach kids more than one lesson. Again, they're going to be using these more than once. We'd like them to get more than one takeaway from the installation. And the installation should be easy to clean and hard to break because, of course, these are going to be stationary. They're going to be in the same place for a long time. It's going to be very easy for something to go wrong, so we would like to use harder materials that are easy to clean, things like plastic and metal, glass, potentially wood if it's varnished, rather than things like paper that are going to break very easily. I've put this picture of a child playing with building blocks on the slide because I think that they're a toy that checks a lot of these boxes, but they also highlight a limitation of the Thinkscape installation, which is that if you try to put something like building blocks in a stationary location, the pieces will get lost very easily or taken home by children. So we would like to an Urban Thinkscapes installation specifically to have parts that are sort of tied down, that are hard to lose or hard to take. So that brings me to the description of the Thinkscapes installation itself, which I hope will fulfill these qualities, which is called Experiments with Light. So here's a top-down view of what I envision for this installation. The idea of the installation is that it's going to help children learn about the properties of light by giving them the ability to interact with light and various materials which influence the light in various different ways. And by combining and experimenting with these materials, they can learn about the nature of light, how it works, how it operates. So you can see here on the top-down view of the table, have been placed 4 light sources. The idea is that these light sources would be no stronger than a flashlight and would be adjustable. So you could have a dimmer switch, which would allow you to make it brighter or dimmer, and also be able to be rotated to the left and the right on a swivel, but not up and down, because we would like the light to stay contained within the table and not go out up into the ceiling and bother other people, which I'll explain more on the next slide as well. Along with these light sources, there are a number of materials for children to interact with. There are mirrors, both flat mirrors and warped mirrors, think like a fun house kind of mirror. There are panels with various holes and slits which can affect the beam of light, the shape of the beam of light that's coming out. There are lenses, concave and convex. Think a magnifying glass, which can concentrate a beam of light or cause it to spread out. There are prisms, which will split the beam of light into rainbow colors. And there are also translucent color panels, which will block a certain color of light, but allow the other colors to go through. So not only can children learn what each individual item does when they put the beam of light through it, they can also look at the interactions between items. For example, they could put a prism in front of a beam of light and then put a translucent color panel in between the beam of light and the prism and see how that affects the splitting that the prism is doing to the light source. And of course, there's a million other ways to combine and compare the effects of these different items. So hopefully this installation would be fun more than once, which we talked about before. There's more than one activity I can do with this. And it will also teach more than one lesson. Okay, I know what the lenses do, but now I want to know what the prisms do. Now I want to know what will happen if I put the light through the lens and the prism. Different orders, different combinations, a lot of variation, a lot of depth of experience for the children. And of course, it should also be noted that each of these materials can be attached to the table with a string. The light sources can be sort of bolted down, and this will prevent the materials from being taken or lost by children. Okay, here's a side view of the installation. You can see it's sort of a table, and I've drawn a dotted line to show the actual floor of the installation. You can see there are sort of high walls. And the idea behind this is to keep the light inside of the installation so that it doesn't shine into people's eyes while they're waiting for the doctor. And it can go up to the ceiling, that's okay. There's also a small step-up area for shorter children. And there's also, I intend to include an experiment handbook, which will have descriptions of various experiments that can be done by children or by parents assisting their children, which will teach specific things about the nature of light and will include short scientific explanations of the principles involved with those experiments. So this allows the potential for open-ended play, where the child simply plays with the materials as they see fit. It also gives the potential for guided play, where the parents get involved and they lead the children through more dedicated experiments. And so there's a potential for, again, either play alone or play with other people. And these are just some research articles which support the idea that this project will lead to positive results for children. A number of articles have shown that these kinds of interactive exhibits can effectively teach children about scientific concepts, and that children directing their own interactions and play with these exhibits can help them learn how to engage with science as a process, and also develop their critical thinking skills and their self-efficacy. So with that said, that's the end of my presentation, and hopefully you will think that this project is positive and good. Okay, thank you.